is a total shitpost. So helping me as a co-host today, Savage the Second, or Savage Mark II, totally up to you. So today we're going to be tackling the fourth and maybe if we have the time, fifth mission of Super Robot War Judgment. Hope you like it, and with that said, let the shit show begin. Alright, floor is yours. People, my co-host has died.
No, I haven't died, just was one last clip I wanted to post yet.
One last twiddle on the Persia? Or are you telling me you secretly said the Death Squad?
To post.
Oh, alright. I heard you were saying Death Squad to Persia. I was like, what? Are you suddenly responsible for all the war happening in Lebanon and all the jazz? Or are you the one actually...
Oh no, not that bad.
Oh, and then I thought I would be able to purchase some lands from you. Alright, never mind. Tell me when you get a special, dude. All joke aside. Alright, let's look at that cute little link you sent me real quick. Oh, that's the Diagon Buster. Save that for later.
Yeah. Technically, that's not the Die Buster yet.
But, by the way, what's the story behind that one? I mean, was this a completely new anime, or was it linked to the old one somehow?
It is linked, though you don't quite realize it until a bit later in.
Fair enough. Well, you know, in some way, I just want to ask you one thing. At some point in Gunbuster, was there a conflict human versus human as well?
No, not really.
Okay. There's this manhwa, Korean manga, so they can call it manga, so they call it manhwa, so yeah. There's this manhwa I read called, wow, I forgot the name, Wikipedia. Is it Space Knight? No. Wow, how can I forget a name like that? Well, point to the matter is, it's all about bugs that basically lived in space and were fruitful, you know, they just go from planet to planet, they eat everything, they make a hatchery out of it. A bit similar to what you've shown me so far. Here's the difference though. Humans love to smash each other. We love to kill each other in that one. Like, it's just a thing. War is still a thing to human. So
that
there's
will probably be an aspect of us humans for God knows how long we exist.
Yep. And as a matter of fact, in that one, the bugs just came in and weren't a threat at first. So much so that the humans just decided to ignore them completely. They were just caught in the crossfire of all three factions, smashing each other. Well, the bugs did the one thing that counted. They took note, and they started to organically reproduce their technology little by little. And you can bet one thing, the humans weren't holding any punches. We were also improving technology every time, leaps and bounds, as we were trying to murder each other. So, I'll let you imagine what happened on the long run.
Yes, the bugs got very good at it.
They got better than the human.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly, you have all three factions, like, besieged far away from one another by those bugs. And those bugs, a human's a human, and it tastes surprisingly good. What do you do there? Oh yes, Night Run. There we go. So a bit similar to what they're gonna develop. They're sort of. You have to skip the first Gunbuster part that you showed me where the robot is basically two main battleship. They're gonna skip to a step in between the Die Gunbuster and the Gunbuster. Assuming the Die Gunbuster is the redhead lady in front of me.
Technically she's the midpoint, but yeah.
Fair enough. Well, you have, you basically have, instead of having robots that are kilometers and miles tall, you have robots that are about, 20, 30, 40, 50, and some, in rare cases, for the infantry in massive, well, not in rare cases, in massive numbers, 20 and 10 meter class. And then you have the final version of that, which is basically super shrank down quantum implants for human. And hence the Knight in the title, Knight Run. And don't get me wrong, yeah, they do use swords, but they're basically a walking terminal. They work in tandem with large equipment, so one human can basically rain down planetary destroying blades. They just break down things to the molecular level once they collide with stuff. You know, it's a huge clusterfuck of science gone completely awry as they fight against space critters. To take up your language, which I love. And I can only, I feel like I should recommend you that read. Yeah, it's only a manhwa. I wish there was an anime of this. There's awesome potential for this to go completely nuts. Speaking of going completely nuts, the Yesco's doing his thing again!
I wonder if that will be a voyage.
I hope! But part of me, here's why I don't think it's gonna be the voyage, and it's sort of sad. Well, Ruri could still do it. Maybe Ruri will do it. But do you know what leads Akito in Voyage to be a total edgelord that would put Reaper from Overwatch to shame?
Something happened to his girlfriend, that's about all I know plot-wise.
Oh, it's him and his girlfriend. They were basically an association, the Martian successor. We're looking for people that could initiate the boson jump, the teleportation from the Martian people. And turns out that Eureka and Akito can do just that. So let's kidnap them. They succeeded. Bring them to an operation table. And then forget that we have actual painkillers or sedatives or anything of the like. And let's experiment to our heart's content. I'm gonna skip the detail, but it was pretty fucking bloody and graphic. And lasted a bit more than a year? Yurika completely shut down mentally, and Akito became the edgelord you know because he saw and endured enough shit. And although he managed to survive all that, Yurika did not. Mentally, she's dead. She's a vegetable forever. At least that's what I remember. I'd have to. I could only read about it. I think there's no proper anime or well, there's actually a movie. I need to go see. But from what I remember reading on the wiki, that's what happens in the game. They basically tried to make the game heaps time edgier than the anime, and the anime adds some actually very cruel moment in it. Like when you murder everybody on Mars by activating your force field, because it's either the ship or everybody, but if the ship falls, everybody falls.
Yeah, that's... I think you were at that point in the previous stage, or that's gonna be this point.
No, that was the previous stage. That's what I said, and everybody dies!
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a massive thing. Also, Night Run's awesome.
Well, now that you give that description, I could already see a bit of how that might fit into some of the Voyage plot.
Yeah.
There is one or two characters that would fit the mad scientist somewhat well.
I don't know. Well, go ahead. Actually, I think I just know one. Actually, I'm an idiot. Holy shit, Dr. Hell.
Oh yes, he would fit perfectly for that. Assuming he's still alive.
I'm
not sure how the whole Mazinger situation is gonna be.
Yeah, I don't know either, but he's the reason Zero emerges.
Messing with forces he shouldn't have, as usual.
Well,
I wasn't actually thinking of Dr. Hell, but indeed he's a good fit.
the well, I'm happy to listen to the one you have in mind, and the reason why Dr. Hell was responsible for Zero is basically because he won.
Oh dear.
The duck. Go ahead.
Oh dear.
All right.
Him actually winning, that's interesting.
The Dr. Hell in Zero, his first move you see in the book. I can't really go post a picture. I'll be sure to have a picture for the next part of the stream. So soon. If you have to go to bed after that, I don't understand. But basically, he goes to the United States President, lift him by the scrotum. Oh yeah, no, completely lifts him. And after his provocation, I don't want to say sort of fails because he gets what he wants, but after the United States President sort of lets him down, he crushes the nutsack completely. Like there's nothing left. And he leaves by the front door. Then who's gonna stop him? He controls every technology on Earth thanks to the Bardo staff. So you tell yourself this is
They upgraded the darn thing from the sound of it.
Oh yeah, no, everything that's a machine is controlled. The end. Do you have a circuit? Yep. Yeah, you're under his thumb. It's that simple.
He upgraded that particular piece.
Oh,
it only works on that Mikene stuff.
No, not anymore. Also, it is worth mentioning that he upgraded his own body as well. He can take on the fucking mechs with his pure body.
Well, if I remember correctly, Baron Azura was curb stomping Mazinger, or Mazinger.
Yeah, well, it's because I saw Ashura, Baron Ashura, in one of the Voyage sneak preview. That I was like, oh, I think we're gonna get Dr. Hell. I'm not sure. Yeah, basically what happens to Dr. Hell is that after crushing the balls of the president and making a case worldwide about it, the fucking president of the United States decides to nuke Dr. Hell mid-flight. And that's what Dr. Hell basically dared him to do. But you have to understand, he controls everything that has technology. What do you think's gonna happen with missiles?
Considering all the electronics they stuff into those things nowadays.
He basically nuked the whole world. He just redirected the nukes everywhere. The only reason Japan still stands is because it has a force field.
Oh, that sounds like Shin Getter Armageddon again.
So,
Episode 3. What did they do? What did the United Nations decide to do? Launch a nuke at the Getter laboratory. Which is a stockpile of Getter radiation.
rebound?
No, it hits.
Butterfly effect?
Invaders have a Getter ray infested Earth to play around in.
Those genius did not thought of the consequences, now did they?
Nope.
Or did they not heed the good professor's warning?
They figured it was a smart idea to do. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. What you just told me it's not. Also, for these...
Seriously, Earth in Voyage is going to be screwed up like hell.
Well,
Unintended.
from what they've said to us in the preview and what we've seen so far, it looks like Mars, and that's a lot saying. That means wastelands everywhere that's basically roasted.
Well, let's see. The Yamato plotline has the Gamlas systematically asteroid bombing Earth. Got the whole Getter radiation explosion in Getter Armageddon. Dr. Hell apparently nukes the world.
That's a Zero.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do see your point. If Zero's in there, why would he not do it? He provokes the US to launch a nuke at him, and then by doing that, he just takes control of everything and nukes the world.
If I recall correctly, one of the villains in Crossbone Vanguard will be trying to wipe out what's left of Earth.
Yeah, with the Divinity... Oh yeah, we're gonna see the Divinity Dad. Holy shit, I didn't thought of that.
Again. That thing was somewhat of a nuisance in Alpha 2.
Actually, we might see the level that comes after Divinity Dad. If they're gonna give us Skullheart.
Cold Heart and Steel 7.
Is that the one that comes after, maybe? Well, basically, you have a set of prints that comes, and they're basically new type to the extreme. Like, they put them all to shame.
Yeah. We're actually getting brain in the jar grunts from the looks of it.
Yeah, we do. That's basically what they were saying back then. Pilots are cheap, but the mechs are not. So if you come back to us as prisoner, but you don't have your mech, you're as good as dead. We have plenty of. You laugh, but that's actually one of the lessons the Tobio Iron Axe, the Pirate of Skull 3, basically gets taught pretty early by Pilot of the Death. Oh, I forgot I gave her Doomsday. Breast missile!
Oh yeah, that's an infamous weapon if ever there was one.
That's why I gave her Doomsday.
Even it's actually worse in some of the other SRW. Great Mazinger has a similar support mech. And in some games, they get a combo attack.
I'm scared now. Oh yeah, speaking of the companion mech, Zero basically gives us a new Minerva X. But there's a slight catch with the new Minerva X, because it's not made by Dr. Hell at all. Hell, I encourage you to Google her. Minerva X Mazinger Zero.
Yeah, I think I have seen a picture of that.
She's human size.
There's a chance she's in, actually.
Yeah, maybe I did show her to you. She's basically a human robot. I forgot what's the name. Photon energy, was it?
Yeah.
A photon infused human or something like that with a bit of technology to make it work.
Yeah, it would fit right in with some of the other series.
And what she basically did is that she basically sent her memories, her program, along with Kuji, every time he destroyed a complete Earth because, was it Sayaka? Ayaka? I forgot her name.
Yeah, Sayaka.
Sayaka, there you go. Every time Sayaka gets murdered by Dr. Hell, and Zero appears. Because Dr. Hell plays with Kuji, it kills everybody but him.
See. So Sayaka's a bit TV tropes called again. Keystone Maiden.
To be fair, they did not make her weak at all, but Dr. Hell got on a whole other level. Holy shit. Before, just took him as a silly old geezer. In that book, he only took 1 page to convince me he was a new man. 2 pages to convince me he was still fucking crazy. And at the 3rd page, he was established as a worldwide villain that I respect because, holy shit, is he brutal.
Yeah.
He drives the point home pretty drastically. And yeah, Sayaka's not bad at all. I mean, the bunch of action she gets, yeah, she did get in trouble a bunch of times, but she rips the head out of those fuckers. Holy shit. They balance her well. It's not as bad as it could be.
One detail I also read about Zero, apparently, it does also something which I believe is indeed unique in its particular franchise as a whole, aside from the whole Dr. Hell winning part, which is exactly common either. Boss Borot actually dies.
Yep. The whole Earth perishes. Sometime at the end of Dr. Hell, sometime at the end of Kuji, because he goes berserk before Dr. Hell's done.
It was literally one of those last stand defending stuff, I think, ends for him at that time.
Yep, well, you have a bunch of them.
What's usually the comic relief?
It's actually the what?
Boss Borot is pretty much the comic relief.
Yeah, he is, but he
Although, to be fair, some of those attacks are hilarious.
Can I spoil you one point of it? Given it, I already spoil you a lot. Alright, never mind, I'll just say it. One thing they do in Zero that I did not anticipate. At one point, they basically made the Mazinger army.
Ah.
So you have mechs that can spam Rossaricade, you have mechs that have Cutter, you have mechs that have the Breastler, stuff like that.
Yeah, those showed up in the Shin Mazinger version as well.
They're only a limited number, mind you, but they're there. So here's the bullshit that happened. When they all got down, one of the enemy, I think it's Baron something, not as sure.
Probably Gorgon.
Could be, no, he's a human.
That might have been Broken or Broken.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah, that's a guy. So what he does is that he takes every single one of these guys, every single one of those dead or half dead or not so dead pylon, puts machinery in their brain, forces them to do his bidding, and then sends them as shock trooper infantry inside the shield to murder everybody.
Yeah, that sounds about some of the stuff he'd pull.
And it's all... Yeah, you think it's just gonna be classic cheesy shit, but as you keep reading the book, it grows darker and darker. You're like, holy shit, how far does the rabbit hole goes?
Well, to be fair, the original was somewhat dark at a few details. I mean, in the original Mazinger, not even Mazing Kaiser or whatever, or the remake, the original, apparently Dr. Hell used to work in World War II concentration camps as a doctor. You can imagine how that went.
Yes, he's one of the geniuses that discovered
Count
all...
Brocken would be one of the German officers he once saved.
Huh.
By pretty much turning him to a head in a jar and cyborg bodies. Or android or whatever.
You'd think Hitler would
But
have
yeah,
went a lot
Brocken-
farther if he had. You'd think Hitler would have won World War II with Mecha Beasts.
I think it's before he did that whole excavation trip.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I would assume good old Adolf would have loved to use those things.
Mecha Godzilla Mark IV. Let's go!
Yeah.
Anyhow. So yeah, Mazinger Zero, like, before you even get into what leads to Zero, you have a whole spiel. You're like, you're about as pissed as Koji is once he gets to Zero. You're like, dang.
Well, if I recall correctly, the Mazing Kaiser anime was also somewhat, the original movie at least, was dark as well. Most of the cast die by the time Koji finally gets the Kaiser.
Dang. Other than that, the few good also fucked me. I put Calvino way too far ahead. That's my bad. One of the thing I liked about what they did. What basically happens with Koji is that you realize that Mazin Kaiser and Zero are two different entities. To the point that every time he destroyed the planet, Minerva X basically takes Koji's mind to the past. And eventually, following Koji, because every time Koji failed, he was merging with Zero completely. Well, the original Mazinger spirit followed him. So that's why at the end you have an epic Mazinger versus Zero.
Oh dear.
Will I smack Carter in the face now?
Which means we are actually going to be fighting one of her own units as a boss. Interesting.
Which means that what? Her
Well, the way you
own?
make that sound, we'll probably have to fight against Zero at one point then.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised he's on our side. He's...
Well, there have been surprises like that before. I mean, when I heard Dankuga Nova and Gundam 00 would be alongside each other in the same game, I actually had some doubts about that. I mean, they have a different approach to warfare in general.
I'm
In
listening.
Dankuga Nova, They intervene in war zones to keep it stable. To get
Oh,
rid of any advantage one of the sides has.
I get
Basically
ya.
perpetuating the war into a stalemate. Perpetuating the war.
You know, I get ya.
And
Double O is the complete opposite. You crush a side.
Yeah. Preferably you crush all of them, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the Tron were shown to be pretty effective at that role, might I add.
Oh yeah. Too effective, I guess.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for Ribbon's intervention, the UN was about to give in. They had them where they wanted. People would want to work, were not wanting to work in factories anymore because they blew them all up.
And the scary part is that Mr. What was he called again? Aeolia Schubenberg predicted all that stuff a few centuries ago.
That's what, Siri?
Double O's plot. That whole
Oh.
Aeolia Schubenberg
Oh, Aeolia, yes.
supposedly,
The maker of
supposedly planned all that a few centuries ago.
And what unit does he unlock for the crew? I'm guessing he unlocks a few.
No, literally he had foreseen pretty much all the events in the Double O timeline a few centuries in advance.
Yep.
Nostradamus have at thee.
Oh,
Saying there are a few more crazy scientist bastards they could potentially use for some of that stuff.
yeah, that's basically what I was about to get to. What were the ones you had in mind in Voyage? I'm sort of curious.
Well, cause Angie has one. And oh boy, did he pull it off.
Boobs, boys, or oh boy?
No, literally a mad scientist who really... Well, let's just say he got it to a lot. Successfully.
Well then.
There's a few interesting twists in the plotline in Angie, shall we say.
Nephew, excuse me, somebody's about to get nailed! Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on! There we go, it's a crit. Holy shit.
Now, I'm not sure how insane some of the characters in my game were, but I don't think the mad scientist was that inhumane.
Actually, you know
No.
what? Finish first, actually. I don't want to interrupt you. Finish first.
So I'm not sure that one would have been, well, toying around with Eureka, shall we say. Although, Titan Freeze could. Ooh, that would actually be very fitting. I mean, in Titan 3 we're basically talking about a faction of robots that are basically convinced that humanity deserves an upgrade. Whether humanity wants it or not.
So it's gonna shove a computer chip up my ass. Fair enough.
Well, the few persons we see that have gotten their upgrades, well, they've gotten both human-sized shapes and a giant mecha versions. So yeah.
What could go wrong? Outside of the maniacal tendencies and the homicidal tendencies, of course. Common side effect due to having a giant robot, apparently.
Yeah.
Or the brain implants.
One of those villains in Titan 3 was a bit of a weapons enthusiast. In Alpha 2 he had collected mobile suits and various other mechanized weapons, so yeah. Basically tossed everything you fought until that point at you.
He throws the whole kit. He throws the whole kitchen sink included at your face.
Pretty much. If you even have a chance.
Fair enough.
Well, that guy wasn't as much, well... For a large side, the Dark 3 villains don't come across as too, well, not exactly
threatening.
sane, but not exactly completely batshit insane either.
Oh, okay. Die 3 is one of those because I don't know the lore. So when
Very
I look
old
at their
series.
villains, I'm like, how am I supposed to take you seriously?
Well, it is, I think 70s still? Maybe 60s. Not sure. Old, at least. And big. Die 3 wasn't small either.
Yeah, that's one of the things I saw in whatchamacall, Alpha Guided.
But that's
Now
one of
can I
the
just
best
beam?
land battleships, I believe.
Well, he's made of a few things, no?
Yeah, it's about 3 or 4 units together.
Knew it.
Actually, I believe in some of the Z games, where he also is included, if he is team leader, everything else has an S rating in the air. For the very simple reason, they're riding on top of it.
This is hilarious.
Should be interesting. I know Zambot's villains did not really have much of a positive opinion about humans in general.
What do they do? It's okay, right? So some bot doesn't have much. Get the Robo has any psycho villain. I'm guessing that 1 or 2 at least.
Yeah, indeed. On the one hand, we have the invaders, which are basically how to describe them. I guess Eldritch Horror would be closest, I guess.
You know, it's funny in a way because you've got me started on Get a Robo, well, interested a bit, and as I get sort of interested, maybe albeit, a new book comes out on the manga website I read a lot. Funny how that works.
The Getter is a decent long franchise, manga-wise. But yeah, the invaders are adaptive mutants. So, they can basically somewhat parasitic, so they can actually take over stuff, both organic and mechanical. You actually see stuff ranging from invaders posing as dogs to trees.
And let me guess, so you're gonna use Pollard to take over the world, effectively.
They could, I guess. There's some fairly nasty critters.
Speaking of critters, in Gunbuster, do you have parasitic critters?
Gunbuster itself? No. You don't actually see those creatures actually infesting anything smaller than a sun. So yeah.
Die Gunbuster?
Diebuster.
Ooh, Diebuster, my bad.
Well, that's one of the nice little plot reveals in the series, actually.
Which
they
is?
think they're fighting
Oh, go ahead.
kaijus. They weren't.
They were what?
In Diebuster they call those things Uchukaijus, space monsters.
Oh, my bad.
The little kicker is somewhere along the plot line. They aren't.
They're what?
They are not the Uchukaijus.
Yeah, that's the question. What are they then?
They are the automated defense system that mankind built.
Well then.
Self-maintaining, self-adapting, self-upgrading. They eventually looked like the Uchukaijus they used to fight because, well, those things were damn effective. And they were actually responding to the fact that some of those humans, those topless characters, were exhibiting traits that were, well, triggering a few alarm bells in the system, I guess. Although they definitely have an Uchukaiju show up in the series.
Really?
And when you can see how easy that thing is tearing apart those mechs.
Yeah. System figured, alright, they just simulate what they do.
Yep.
So it's made of nano machine or something?
Something to that effect. Though not quite as nasty as you usually see with technology.
As long as it's...
We're not talking Devil Gundam tire.
Yes, we'll have to see. I don't, as long as it's not Devil Gundam, Gundam X, or Gundam A, we're good. That's the edge of the galaxy we don't want to go to.
No. If I recall correctly, Might Gain is sentient robotic AI, but no nanotechnology as far as I know. Then again, I haven't actually watched the series, so I'm not quite sure. Gamlas in Yamato. Well, that prince of theirs, or emperor, is... Well, he'd be willing to go to some pretty darn shit if need be.
Emperor what?
He's quite the end justifies the means kind of a dude.
Who is?
That ruler of the Gamlas from Yamato. I forgot
Oh,
his
yes.
name.
Well, I never watched Yamato, so I can only say But I'll take your word for it if it's how it is.
He's a fairly mean, he's a fairly nasty piece of work. In hindsight.
Yeah, actually, I don't think we're gonna fight against Zero in. I just realized why we might not fight against Zero in Voyage.
Sayaka doesn't die, so Koji doesn't have his meltdown.
I take this as post meltdown.
Could be.
I mean, if the whole Earth is scorched to death and we're getting bombarded with beats, maybe he already had his meltdown. Maybe that's why he's fighting Zero and nobody's burnt to a crisp.
Well, like I was saying a bit with the invaders still. As I said, invaders are can be parasitic.
In what?
Those invaders from Getter Robo can be parasitic invaders, literally. I mean, you may recall that Getter Robo has usually a female, well, support staff, Michiru. In Shin Getter Robo, she realizes she's being infested with those those critters, and willingly suicides herself, so she doesn't get taken over by those things.
Well, that's one way to go.
That doesn't really help set the mood, does it?
I'm guessing the main cast did not think that well either.
Let's just say the Ryoma Nagare in Shin Getter Robo is an officially convicted murderer.
Well,
I kid you not. He's supposedly responsible for the death of Dr. Saotome, the guy who develops Getter originally. And indeed, Dr. Saotome is not on the good guy's side when you meet him. He has indeed been taken over. At least partially, by those pests.
because they wanted to reproduce the mech for themselves, or they didn't want, they wanted a way to just do away with the photon or Getter rays?
No, actually, invaders like Getter energy.
Oh.
They're quite fond of it. They feed on the stuff.
They wanted to reproduce it?
I think it's just food or something. Not quite sure. But there's also two other scientists who indeed are full-fledged invaders. Either They're either completely invaders from the get-go, or just two humans with morals so darn low that don't mind getting taken over by an invasive parasitic species.
When you say from the get-go, that's pun intended?
Not intentionally, but yeah.
Sorry, that one was easy. Unmeant
Although
puns
there
are
is a
best
series
puns.
although there is a series called Get the Robo Go. But yeah.
Uh, After this, I'm gonna show you a bunch of stuff from Zero, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. Actually, come to think of it, there's a bit of a crossover with that mad scientist and stuff in Crossbone as well.
Holy
The mad
shit,
scientist
you're
in
right.
Cross Ange. I mean, if you're assuming Alpha 2 is accurate, the Rafflesia shows up again.
Oh.
Which is a unit from F91's storyline, if I recall correctly.
F91 is linked to Crossbone. It's right
it's
before.
the sequel to it, the precursor to it, actually.
Yep.
So yeah, in Alpha 2, Kincaid and Bera, or rather Seabook and Cecily,
Yep.
are somewhat dismayed when that thing showed up in Alpha 2.
Rightfully so. Seabook sort of put a bunch of holes in it.
Yeah. That and the whole thing what bugs tend to do when they reach any sort of populated area.
I didn't expect that the first time I saw Bog, by the way.
New. They're rather nasty terror weapons, basically.
Yeah.
And the Cross Ange has something somewhat similar.
Well, we're delving into some dark shit
When I'm
today.
talking about there are some automated, very saw-like attack drones, which reminded me somewhat of bugs.
What are those? The huge dragon thingies?
No, those are a different threat entirely.
Okay. And was that different threat controlled by the same bad side that was using the bug to clean people?
I
mean, you tell me there was a larva that would go into the brains of those things and then make them controllable, I would be surprised. Insect do that.
No, they don't domesticate dragons, if that's what you're trying to imply.
I was trying.
Though there are some details about the dragons which are revealed are, oh boy, that's going to be an interesting scene.
They're ex-humans or something like that? Well, that was short! Holy shit, I did not plan for that. 23% to hit. Hits. Crit.
But yeah.
Actually, I
That's
think...
what happens when you've got maxed out upgrades. You forget how strong you are.
Yeah!
But yeah, the way that Mad Scientist, I presume those automated attack drones were a little side project by that mad scientist, or some other faction, but it's never outright stated who actually built that darn stuff. But it's probably being that mad scientist. He's quite the puppet master across that series.
Mm-hmm.
In a rather scary literal sense of the word. But you'll see if you watch the series.
Might give it a go. It's not on the malice that I'm not watching it, it's just... Also, when I think about it, maybe I should have killed the bastard and just be done with it, because I'm not gonna play Heiji. I'm not gonna touch on Beto, something Lasner. SPT Lasner.
It's one of those, I believe, still full-length anime series from back then, so that's about 40 plus episodes.
60, no?
52 or something would be basically a full year's worth.
Uh-huh.
Was the old established size.
It's
It has
basically...
really shrunk down a lot nowadays.
It's what I'm hoping Iron Blooded Orphan will be, and sorry if I break that anime off it. I love what they're doing!
Well, it's got 2 seasons so far, so that's 26 episodes. No, wait. 46, I think. I saw a notice on one of the clips on YouTube.
The 42nd or 43rd episode total came out.
Yeah. It's a nice series as far as I've seen little events here and there.
Here, we finally see the Gundam with a tail, and holy shit, I did not expect that!
A main Gundam with a tail.
Yes, the main Gundam with it though, that is worth mentioning, you're right about that.
There have been a few tailed ones before. Usually either on the villain side or
Mostly,
not necessarily a Gundam.
I would say villain only.
Let's see. I'm not sure the Gaia actually had a tail. It does turn into some sort of a dog.
Did the guy had a tail? I don't think so, actually. In the same manner, the Baku did
Actually,
not.
I think there is a hero Gundam with a heroic Gundam with a tail-ish. Let's see, what was it called again? I believe the Shenlong from Gundam Wing. At least it had something of a two beam launches in a flexible thing that looked like a tail.
Yeah, actually, you're right about that. Flashback. Yep.
Well, the thing is supposed to be dragon styled, so I guess. They were easy to forget considering the rest of the work.
Just a minute, please. Alright, guys, I'll see you for the 6th mission of this game later, dude. That was Super Robot War G Judgment. Doodles.